If your household's like mine, the very second that Thanksgiving is over, Christmas begins. So my wife has asked me to make some stocking hangers, but not just any stocking hangers. She wants pretty specific ones. Now, the hook that she wants is a flat bar forged down into a hook. So a fuller, a little hook out here, and then this is what goes up on the mantle. We do not own a mantle, so I will adjust this. I'm probably going to put a little bit of a bend back here because it can catch the corner of this molding that we have on our TV stand, which will work. But the unique part of the one that she showed me is that in the very front, it had a Christmas tree. So the only way to get a Christmas tree into the front of that is to make basically a touch mark for that stamp to go right here. And so that is going to be the biggest part of this project. The actual hook should be fairly easy. Now what I'm going to use for the stamp is this right here, which was that square fuller that I had a few weeks ago that was broken. This is the second one. I cut off the bad end and I annealed it in the forge for as long as I could. It's not perfect, but it's the best I can do. It was in there for quite a few hours and it's a little bit warm to the touch, but that's going to work perfect. Now, I don't remember whose design this was. She showed me on the internet. It was just a picture and I believe it was an Etsy seller, but I do not know the name, or I would shout out who did it first. I'm going to trace out this round bar. Okay, so now all I have to do is draw a Christmas tree in the center of this, and hopefully it looks good. Okay, so I have this faced off with the belt sander. I have a little bit of super glue, just a dab on there, and try not to get my fingers stuck on there. I'm going to set this right up there. And this may look craziness, but I can see my lines, my cut lines. I was starting to color that in. I thought, that's crazy. I'm not doing that. So, but I know where to cut. So this is mainly with a file. I'm probably going to shave off my sides, the bulk of my material, any corners I can, and then it just really ends up being handwork from there with a file. Okay, I have the main part of this thing done, which was pretty simple. Actually, it probably didn't take me that long. I was trying to go for something a little bit more abstract, so I was trying to shave that corner over there, but I think it is looking good. It's a little bit hard to tell with just looking at the face of it, but it punches wood pretty good. You should use something like Play-Doh or clay, plasticine, whatever you have, but I do not have that, so I just tap it into wood. Now, one of the tips I have for that is try to draw these tapers back as far back as you can, because whenever it sinks just a little bit into the steel, it starts to fatten up because you'll see where you've filed in. So like my touch mark, I've pulled these tapers way back. And then I am also going to orient this thing, so if you see on the top of my touch mark, there's a flat spot. That flat spot faces forward. Whenever I go to punch something, I always know which way my touch mark is oriented, so I don't have to look at the bottom while the steel's hot. So I'm going to do the same thing for my little Christmas tree here. So I'll just take a grinder and flatten off one side of this back here, And this thing is ready to get heat treated. I almost forgot to mention it anyways, is that on these, I always hit them with a little bit of sandpaper just to kind of pull the sharp edges, because the file leaves pretty sharp edges, which could potentially either crack this or the steel that I'm working on. Not that I'm real concerned about it with the hooks, but for this thing's sake, I'm just going to touch it up with a little bit of sandpaper. I've already put my orientation mark in the back, so I know which way to face it, and so then I'm ready for the heat treat. It is time for the hook portion of this, and I'm just going to kind of guess. I'm going to go even with my bits, I think, and then just full her down. That's a good start, but I'm probably going to define that a little bit more and then forge down that end right there to make the hook itself. Okay, now I want to take that mass and move it down. Now, a typical stocking holder for a mantle is very simple. So you have your hook out here, and then you have your dead 90. Like I talked about earlier, mine has to be a little bit different. So I need a 90 right here, and I'll need another 90 with a 1/4 inch so it can catch the edge of a molding on our TV stand that we have. So it's going to be a little bit different, but I checked it out earlier, and I came up with around 3 inches to my second bend, and then a 1/4, so about right there is where I want to cut with my shear. Yeah, that gives me about 3 1/4. Could go a fuzz longer than that. So I'll have a 1/4 inch bend, 1.5 inches to the next one, and then 1.5 inches right here. So I've got my Hardy Hot Shear, I've got my mark that I'm shooting for. If I can hit it right there. So I've forged out my other 4 that I need. Now, by the time that I was done, I was gaining some speed on it, so it took me 1 heat to fuller in, 2 heats to draw this out and to round it off, and then obviously 1 heat to cut. So it's not too terrible. There's still a lot of scale on here. It doesn't matter because I still have to bend all these. But the reason that I do them like this is for consistency. So I can look at them all, see that they're relatively close. Now, they're never going to be perfect. I mean, because I don't run a machine shop here. I'm swinging at it with a hammer. So the tips are a little bit long. I may take a little bit off to make them all consistent by the time I'm done. And I'm going to start with that 1/4 inch bend up here at the top, just like this one. And then I will bend my back one. But if you're making one for a mantle, all you need is this bend here, which you could do right at the forge since it's just a 90. It is the moment of truth on the stamp. Get it somewhat centered. Looks pretty good. It's not real deep, but I'm jumping on the back of my anvil right there. You can see it. Maybe I'll try to hit it one more time. That's pretty risky. So everything turned out really well. There's my punch for my Christmas tree. Now it took quite a swing to dent that in because it's so large, but it left a very nice indentation. You can see that it's a Christmas tree, a nice small hook, just perfect for a stocking. These are all the same or close. This was the first one. It was a little light on the right side. It's fine though. But I think that they turned out really nice with that Christmas tree punch in it. I've got 5 of them. So, like I said, these are all real close, or at least close enough. But these will hang over the front of my TV stand. I used to have a teacher that said close only counts in horseshoes, hand grenades, and thermonuclear devices. But I would add that it also counts in blacksmithing, because these hooks are real close to each other, but each one's a little bit different. They can't all be perfect because you're doing it by hand, but I think it turned out fantastic. Let me know what you think in the comments. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you next week.